All right, welcome back, Gen Xers, to the podcast. I'm your host, Sean, and this is my co-host, Brian.
What's up, everybody?
All right, and we're so happy that y'all joined us again this week. I am ecstatic to be here. I've been looking forward to this week.
Bursting.
Bursting, as is our show, because we got a ton of stuff, a ton of different news. And later on in the podcast, we're going to talk to you a little bit about what it's like to run a D&D campaign in the modern day. Because it's been a hot minute since I've played. And we still did it on the old paper back in the day. And I'm aware that now there's new ways to do things. And I guess we'll talk about that a little bit at the end of the show. But anyway, at the beginning of the show, we like to shoot shit about what we're doing anyway. And anything special going on with you?
Just to let you know, I got the campaign I'm starting tonight with some friends. Ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
And, doing the show with you.
Right on.
Today.
Yeah. I finally got to the first half of my dentist appointment, so half my teeth on the left side are all crystal clean. Yeah, I'm very pleased with that. It went well. I insisted that I have gas. So I was quite placid and happy. And I didn't feel the shots at all that they gave me in the mouth. I actually told them, when are they going to get to it?
Right.
Or I asked them when they were going to get to it, and they just laughed at me. But yeah,
I always prefer local, personally.
Yeah, it worked good, and so I won't be near as skittish going to the next one. I didn't do too bad. When I got there, I was all good. I wasn't all freaked out like I thought I'd be. The gas
well,
just
I mean, if
was
you're anything...
What's that?
I was just saying, if you're anything like me, you're shitting bricks when you go to the dentist because you're not, brushing every time you're supposed to brush and flossing every time you're supposed to floss.
Yeah, well, it had been forever for me, and I've tried to keep my teeth okay over the years, but I am far from perfect, and I was quite pleased with what it ended up being in the long run. So it could have been a lot worse, and so I'm looking forward to June, the end of June, when this was all said and done, and I can smile without that big hole in my tooth. It'll be awesome. I can't wait! Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So, what do we got on the news docket for today?
We got news! The news blues. Yeah, man, Nvidia is going to retire the 3060 Ti.
Hate to see it go, man.
Yeah, well, I think, because I think I would have my eyes on that one. Because
I would.
It's got a great rap, man. The 60s series usually do. Of course, the 4060's coming out very soon. In fact, I think one set's already out. The Ti and the regular 4060's not, but it's like the Ti and something else.
Right.
Yeah. But
maybe one of their they have another level above the Ti, right? It's like for a specific type of development and whatnot.
I don't know. It's confusing as hell. I mean, I guess technically it should have been what the 3070 would have been, but they ended up using that for those 3080s with the low memory count and just making it a whole fucking mess again, like they always do. You try and get some kind of semblance of order, and it just goes to hell. And those are those same ones that. So aren't those the ones that are using the 3060 boards? Those 4060s?
I think so.
Isn't that what we reported?
I think that's what I had heard.
Yeah, I think we reported on that last week or the week before. But yeah. So
so the TI is set to launch later this month.
Okay,
I don't know if that means it has or if it's going to be at the end.
Yeah, I knew it was coming up. So you won't see like a bunch of 3060 Ti's going like immediately. It'll be a while, a little bit before they're completely gone, and maybe you catch a good price on one. I know I'd like to. I would love to be able to get a ray tracing on one of my computers. I wish I could put it in the laptop because it's really the best computer I got at the moment. The desktop needs a heavy. I mean, I'm going to have to go complete gut on this thing. I'm 2 generations. Well, technically 3 generations behind on it, I guess. Because 5th generation, even though it's not mainstream, is still out there.
True.
Yeah, I still consider 4th generation. If you're in, I wonder. That's an interesting question. I wonder how much percentages of people are still on 3rd generation, 4th generation, and haven't been able to move, and then people like me who are still stuck with stuff with Gen 2 PCIe.
Right. Probably a lot of people. I know. Like the funny thing is most gamers are nerds and have nerd type jobs that pay well, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of them were willing to pay the price tag, whatever it was, for this new great video card with ray tracing, blah, blah. And the availability wasn't there. So anytime, like I remember they like found a batch or something, right? There was like a late release of a batch,
Yeah.
at some point, if I recall correctly. But yeah, they were buying them off of the fun crypto miner endeavors. I don't want to do that personally. I think we've had this discussion. It's just
no, it's scary. I wouldn't want a car that's been like just working nonstop, day in, day out,
chugging,
just going
since it got out of the box.
I mean, there is such thing as degradation, and that would be definitely putting it through the paces. Yeah, not something I'd want to do. But anyway, you'll probably be able to find a good deal on them at some point, and they'll be phased out, like I said, for the 4060. So it's a good card to get if you're not ready to jump into that 4060 land where you got to really kind of upgrade your power supply and all that jazz. You can stay reasonable.
They're not as massive, but they're still massive.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much everything since the 2000 series has been.
Good Lord, yeah.
Fairly
That's
massive.
Ridiculous. Alrighty then. So, Diablo 4, man, getting just PC Gamer said it is still a mess.
Yeah.
With the class balance, like barbarians that are total pussies, and apparently that's gotten a little better, but it's just not the least of their problems, though. There's just all kinds of different problems with it.
Right. Well, I mean, in the end, it's Diablo, right? And I guess that's one of the things about franchises like that. You either expect, the same thing that you go to that franchise for, or they do something new and interesting, and a lot of people don't like it.
Yeah.
I kind of think Diablo is just it had its place when it first came out. The original Diablo, even Diablo 2 had its place. Once you got into 3, there were some great graphics in there, but it was just like, the grind, and, there's always been some portion of a grind in Diablo, but it's just, I don't know. Maybe I've had enough.
I know I have. That Immortal run we did for a couple months, that was it for me. But So PC Gamer says at least this last time Barbarians felt a little better. Felt a little stronger than they did before. It wasn't too backbreaking to beat the Den Mother this time around, but then they're still substantially slower, weaker, and less versatile than anyone else. Sorcerers remain walking nukes that can kill enemies 3 screens away. Meanwhile, Necromancers got nerfed so haphazardly that they had to get rebuffed halfway through the beta test because their skeleton minions were now dissolving in the presence of bosses and leaving them plinking away with pitiful ranged spells.
Yeah.
So, in short, class balance is still an absolute joke. And worse still, Blizzard has shown no sign of having any vision for what direction changes should be going in. Sure, this is still a beta, but the launch is due June 6th, with early access on June 1st. We're very unlikely to see substantial tweaks before then. Right now, we're looking at a day one where sorcerers and barbarians are not so much playing different games as operating on different planes of reality. Yeah. I mean, and that's the point, though. It is beta. It is their time to change that's why they have people playing it to complain about this, that, and the other thing. Listen, Blizzard learned their lesson long ago, because we played this back in the day when Battle.net first came out, and Blizzard, new Diablo came out. Man, the servers just went south quicker than shit. It took them a while to figure out, and so they've been through this. They know the worst. They know the kind of backbone they need to have in place. That wasn't really good.
Well, I mean, what they
server
said
backbone,
was that the server stress test went swimmingly. Everything else.
Yeah, infrastructure. That was the word I was looking for. Backbone.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, like you say, they know what they're doing in that department. So they obviously need to concentrate on, listen to what the people have to say.
Content, man.
Yeah. So I know you can't get excited about it, but it's definitely newsworthy because it is Diablo.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just a show that it's one step closer to, being available to the public. So.
Right. Yeah. And they don't have long, so hopefully they can get on it.
Yep.
Alrighty. All right. Changing gears here, going over to a little Doctor Who news. Who. The BBC dropped a trailer a few days ago for the 3 David Tennant and Catherine Tate specials that'll be coming out in November. Let's see. It's the 60th anniversary specials. That's why they've asked him back, and they're two of my favorites. I love Catherine Tate. She had a great show.
Yeah, I think honestly there were a lot of Doctor Who fans that felt the same way. If I recall correctly, Catherine Tate, she doesn't look like the other companions that we've seen in recent years, right?
Yeah, and she's just, dude, she's just so funny. That woman.
That's what I was going to say.
Like a female Ricky Gervais or something. She's just, the comedy's different, but I don't know. It's just that level of success out of that country. She's a brilliant comedian. Her show back in the day was hilarious. I still quote that stuff to this day because I just love it so much, the Catherine Tate show. But yeah, bringing those two back. The Dr. Donna. So yeah, it's coming in back in 2023 with 3 episodes. David Tennant is returning as the 14th Doctor to coincide with the 60th anniversary. Ncuti Gatwa's first episode as the 15th Doctor will then air over the festive period. And, of course, we don't know when that festive period is. But then Doctor Who will premiere exclusively on the BBC for the UK and Ireland. Disney Plus will be the exclusive home for the new seasons of Doctor Who outside of the UK and Ireland. So if you got Disney Plus, you'll be able to check that out.
Man, wrap it up and put a bow on Disney, man. They've cornered the market, right?
Well, that's one thing they've done right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot with the Mandalorian and of course, that's up for debate too. Their Star Wars stuff here on TV. It's definitely one thing they're doing right in that area.
Well, Star Wars, now Doctor Who, Marvel, just like they've really kind of expanded their franchise into the area of stuff that I was into when I was younger.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I love a lot of the stuff they're doing. I watch stuff on videos on the parks all the time, which is actually fitting because they are in the news for just that. Speaking of Star Wars and stuff they didn't do right with it, because a lot of people would say it was highly overpriced for one thing. Disney is shutting down its Galactic Starcruiser hotel in September. And that's just after less than stellar performance and high prices. Just people couldn't afford it. They weren't getting the bookings. And some of the videos I saw, you got kind of, a lot of people felt like they got less of an experience than what the promotional video showed. Right. And from what I saw, because I've watched the promotional video and I've seen a lot of different experiences, and they are right. The interesting thing about it is, I saw some recent videos too, and they've added quite a few things, little things here and there to make the experience better. Only, to have the announcement come out literally the same day I think I watched that is when the announcement came out. So too little, too late, and it's a neat idea. And the other interesting thing is there is I wish I could tell you the name of it. I caught another video because they were comparing it to the Disney Starliner. There's a hotel, and it looked like it was possibly French, but it was in Europe somewhere. And the idea was it looked like you were on, let's say, Mars. It was very red dirt around it because obviously they brought in, fake Earth. They had like a rover outside. It looks like something you could drive in. But it's a hotel, and it was basically like the Starliner, and they had a restaurant and stuff, and it was really neat on the inside. But it was only like I think they said $250 to $500 a night, something like that, which is a hell of a lot more reasonable. And so let's say
$6,000 for a weekend.
That's ridiculous. So let's say you throw in some entertainment value in that. Let's say it's $1,000 a night. That's even not that bad because we're talking like all inclusive, right? I think if they would have gone that route, I think they would have probably seen good business on the $2,000 level. A lot of people, when they go on vacation, that's when they spend their money. So just $6,000, bro, there's so much you can do with $6,000. That's a lot to ask people to part with.
I mean, honestly, considering the fact that it's Disney and they expect you to pay, 6 was just a bad figure.
Yeah.
Or should have been their asking price. $1,000 a person for a weekend on a Disney experience or whatever.
Yeah.
Seems a lot more reasonable than, 6.
Yeah, I mean, like you should be able to take, I don't know, what's fair. I guess you should be able to take at least 2 people for $1,000. And then let's say you got kids, obviously they're heavily discounted. Maybe they're like $250 a kid.
Right.
Something like that, just to cover their food, cleaning up after the little asses. Just kidding. Kids are awesome. Yeah, I got grandkids. So yeah, who knows? And then, on top of that, it actually kind of covered this news that Disney was planning on building a $1 billion campus in Florida, and was going to move all their Imagineers and all their offices and everything to this Florida campus. It was going to be a huge move. And, a lot of people weren't happy about it. Many were. And I think they tried to use that as their excuse why not. We all know there's a heavy political thing going on in Florida with DeSantis and the Disney people. So that is likely more than what it is. It wouldn't surprise me because what are you going to do with all this extra 40 acres of land now that you own? It wouldn't surprise me if they just hold off a couple of years.
Yeah.
Bob Iger's now back in the seat, so a couple things have changed. It'll be interesting to see because the political spectrum is going to change too, and that's why I say that.
Well, here's my question. There will, in my opinion, there will always be a place for like roller coasters, haunted houses, street food, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But is there still a place for this type of, it's not a destination per se, but they treat it like a destination vacation. Right?
I have to say,
a theme park.
Yeah, no, I have to say, absolutely, yeah. It's big business, man. Really big.
It
business.
is
So much so that they have like 2 in Japan. Like they've had Disneyland Paris since the 90s. I think there's one in China. They're all over the place, and they do huge business. And that's all I see when I watch these videos. It never ceases to amaze me how people, even during the pandemic, the people that were scared still went out to that place, filled it up, not to capacity, but still a damn lot of people.
You'd see the streets full when you'd see film of it. Right?
Yeah,
It wasn't empty, I should say.
No, they do a huge business. So
I agree, but I guess my question is, with the price tags going up and everything, pretty much what they're looking at is like hardcore fans of Disney and like people who have little kids.
Yeah.
bug the shit out of them to go to Disney until they break down whether or not they can afford it. Some families can.
Yeah,
some
no, it's
can't.
expensive, man. It is,
Yeah.
but I think I kind of see now because again, watching these videos, they report this stuff all the time. Because I've seen these fast passes. There's like a genie pass thing, and then you can only use it here,
Right.
there, and you're paying all this extra money, and and they might be all sold out before you can even get to them. It seems like they're changing the way those kind of things are done. So maybe they're listening a little bit now that Bob Iger's back. That dude before him, I can't remember his name, but he was awful. He was the one that's just done awful, at least with the theme parks and how they operate, but obviously a lot of other things too. So hopefully Iger can turn it around. But there was a lot of things that people didn't like about him too. So I guess he's just a quick Band-Aid, a comfortable person they know already.
Yeah,
But,
well, I mean, that's what happens when things go south. You get the old hand that's familiar with it, come back in, and
yeah.
put things into shape.
Yep. Yeah. And I think in some ways they're trying. And obviously, by shutting down the Starliner, they're realizing, hey, we don't need to mess with this anymore. Or
Right.
Starcruiser, whatever I keep calling it. I keep calling it Starliner.
You keep calling it Starliner, but it's Starcruiser.
I swear there's something out there called the Starliner, I think. Either a show or something. Yeah, show, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the HBO show with what's his name on it?
Hugh Grant. The guy that played the doctor.
Yeah, it was Hugh Laurie.
Laurie.
From Blackadder. Blackadder. Alrighty. What we got here is the world
we got
of...
some news about, what, Rob and Doug? Or are we going somewhere else?
Going into Red Dwarf, since we'll stay in the world of the BBC. Well, go back to it. We left it for a minute.
Yeah.
Or well, not really, because Disney has the rights to it, so we just kind of moved into Disney. Now we're moving back into BBC. Well, and they're not even technically BBC anymore because they've been on Dave for a while, for a long time now. But good news. It's kind of weird news, this news, because when I first read it, I was like, "What?" But I'll just read it. I'll just read it as it was presented to me when I went on their website and looked. And now, granted, this is actually goes back to March, by the way. I'm a little behind on this because Red Dwarf news is often sporadic. So you can go to their webpage over and over again in a year and see very little change. So, yeah, I'm a little behind. But anyway, Rob Grant and Doug Naylor are delighted to announce that the ongoing dispute over the Red Dwarf rights have been resolved. Moving onwards and upwards, Rob and Doug hope to launch separate, notice I say separate iterations of Red Dwarf across various media, working again with the cast and other valued partners, and wish each other the very best. So apparently they're friends again. It sounds like, so there's a little speculation out there. It sounds to me like Doug, who's been doing what he's doing with Red Dwarf and keeping it going, Doug and the cast will keep doing what they're doing. Those guys are getting kind of old, and I guess they'll go on as long as they feel that it just doesn't look, But it is Red Dwarf, so it really doesn't matter. Yeah, honestly, it doesn't, because we know these guys. I mean, we've just lived with them their whole lives. We know they age. They're aging in real life, and this is Red Dwarf, so continuity means fuck all. You can do whatever you want and say, well, they just went through a time warp, now they're old. This is old guys walking around. So it's really doesn't matter. As long as they want to keep doing it, I say let them keep doing it. And that's what we think is going to happen in that regard. So then Rob would be up for something like a stage show with different actors, maybe another reboot of the series with different actors. They had a USA pilot back in the day that had Robert Llewellyn. He reprised his role as Crichton in that. I've seen it. It's okay. It's a little weird seeing my characters not be the guys I know and love. But I'm sure if they at least honor the characters, their accents and stuff like that, I think it would go over well. If they just use I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you just let people go through it. I don't know. That's tough. It's hard for me to say. So also the other media would be like comic books, whatever, you name it, books, like I said, new show. So it'll be interesting to see. It's just when I noticed the separate iterations, I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's a little odd, right?
Yeah, it is, and it almost makes me think of like I think there's a new Friday the 13th movie in the works finally, but there was a whole thing there similar in regard between Sean. Oh hell, I cannot. I cannot believe I can't. Sean S. Cunningham. There it is. It's there. It's slow today. Sean S. Cunningham and Victor Miller, who wrote the original script for Friday the 13th. So I really don't know. I'm off on the news on that too. I need to get up on it, but I thought that I had heard that they were actually doing something there. I probably shouldn't have said anything until I knew for sure, but I think. But it's a similar situation. That's the only reason.
Comments,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Let me know because it's a similar situation. It could have easily gone the same way, and may have. I don't know. Where Victor could have done anything with the name Jason, but Sean could use a masked character and just couldn't use the name Jason. So you got this big hulking guy going around with a hockey mask, because that's all Sean S. Cunningham stuff, the hockey mask and everything. He just couldn't name him Jason. I don't know if you'd call him Jay or if you just use some play on the word Jason. Yeah. The man, the big man or something, the masked man. I don't know. The goalie. Here comes the goalie. But yeah, so I'm glad to see it. It kind of took me by surprise too, because it said the ongoing dispute. I don't know how long that's been going on. That was news to me. I don't know how many years that's been a thing. I don't know if it's been holding up any new Red Dwarf. We had some just a couple of years ago, so maybe they weren't in dispute all that long.
I have to stop and think, like, with everything going online now, if there would be like what we're used to with Red Dwarf right now, and some kind of a resurgence of a short or a spinoff or something else.
Yeah, I don't know. I know as long as they're making it with the old cast, I will be all over it, and I will certainly look in on anything else they do. But it's going to be hard. It's just a religion anymore. They've been doing it for so long now.
Right.
It's really interesting. But yeah, love those guys. Hopefully we'll do I tease if one day I'll do a Doctor Who thing, and maybe one day we'll do a Red Dwarf thing. But those are two big
I was gonna say
shows for me.
We did kind of like sweep over the whole Doctor Who stuff. We got through it real quick. We mentioned how much we like Doctor and Donna together.
Yeah.
I think we may have discussed it that Tennet. I think he makes a great Doctor, but we may have discussed the fact that that particular character is so bombastic and over the top. It can be a bit much sometimes, right?
Well, I mean, it was great for him because he was the first to do it that way, and then every Doctor after that had a little bit of that in him, and you're like, eh. Especially the female Doctor there at the end. She was like just a female Tennet, and that's all it seemed like. So, while it's great for him, I don't mind it. He is the Doctor, so he can be a bit cocky, and that's okay, or showy, showy a bit. This just makes it fun, I guess. It'll be interesting to see. I'm happy that Russell T. Davies is back to Helmet. I was happy to see the back of him back in the day. I mean, it's just like if you would have rode with me through the whole New Who era as it happened. I mean, you would have heard me bitching about it, every little thing, and why I'm where I'm at now. But I am happy he's back because it was him who started the whole thing. And it was good under him for sure. I had just stupid.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We talked about Tennet being the most popular Doctor in some ways, but for me, Tennet, Davies, and Moffat. Those were like when they didn't Moffat do some during the Tennet line.
He did a couple episodes. He wrote a couple episodes, which to me are some of my favorite episodes, especially during that time. And I always said he just needed to concentrate on writing or just being a producer. But I don't want him writing and doing both. I'd rather see somebody concentrating on the stories and what's going on there than try and write a whole damn seasonal arc. Because these guys, some are great at it, some aren't, man. And so far, I haven't seen any in Doctor Who that are really pulling off the arcs too well. It just gets mind-numbingly tedious.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so the Amanda Pond arc, a bit much, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like, dude, they come out so far apart, you can't remember shit. You have to binge watch over and over just to know, well, why is this? And oh yeah, I forgot all about that because that was 2 fucking years ago when we saw it. You know, that hurts it a lot, and a lot of people, said that maybe if it got on a more regular schedule, it might come off better that way.
Maybe. I just remember like during the whole Matt Smith tenure, that's when we got like Don't Blink and a couple of other really awesome episodes.
Well, you call them awesome. I call them, I don't know. Don't Blink's a great episode.
Right.
The Weeping Angels. There's some great stuff there, and then again, that whole arc of the whole thing, like the what's those long-faced aliens?
Yeah.
See,
Watchers or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like I could tell you so much about the classic series. It's ridiculous, like just stupid knowledge.
Right.
And I could have done that up until Tennet left with New Who.
Yeah.
But anything.
Well, I mean,
after
they really
that,
didn't introduce much with Chris.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, just everything there was to know. I just kept up with it like I did the old stuff. But after that, it just got to where I was just like, man, I can't keep up with this because it's just ridiculous, I'm trying to keep up with every little thing. I did okay, but I will not claim superior knowledge of New Who. Like, if you want to go head to head on classic stuff, I'll probably rake you over the coals. But New Who.
Well, New Who is also multi-denominational, right?
Yeah.
Anime, you got the Doctor Who show, you got comics.
Oh, great. Dude, there goes those damn... last week, remember on the video, those scripts went off? It just did it again. Or at least I got 2. It must be something to do with OBS or something. I don't know. Maybe it's doing some kind of quick paste of 2 vids. I don't know. Who knows, man? It's just weird.
Anyway, also... we're finally getting what we discussed about why did we not get a black doctor before we got a female doctor, right?
Yeah, well, they just did it all at the same time instead.
Yeah.
Coming up with that alternate, doctor thing. It's like, wow, y'all are just going to throw it all out there before he leaves. That fucking Chibnall dude. Oh, horrible guy.
I don't know. I also have a special place in my heart for Peter Capaldi. I think you didn't care much for him, or
dude, I actually liked a lot of Capaldi, and then there was just some stuff that just sucked because it suffered under Moffat,
Right.
But there was some great stuff, and I liked him a lot because he was older.
He was older. He was more serious. There was a bit of gravitas to the character to draw contrast.
One thing that pissed me off about him is letting him use his Scottish accent. That was the first sign that we were going down the path of, I guess what people would call woke with Doctor Who. That was the really first sign. Now the Doctor's got to be, he's allowed to have a Scottish accent. Well, David Tennant wasn't. He got to showcase it in one episode,
Right.
But it just in Sylvester, he covered his accent. A lot of guys cover their accents up, and from what I understand, Capaldi just can't do it. So that just kind of irritated me. It's like, dude, you're an actor,
I've never really seen him play something without it. Right?
I know, yeah, he hasn't. You can look at him back in Vicar of Dibley when he's really young. He's got a really thick Scottish accent. But yeah, so we'll definitely talk more about Doctor Who down the road. But yeah. So right. Linus Sebastian from Linus Tech Tips. Everybody knows Linus, who is a nerd anyway. Should at least know who he is a little bit. If you don't watch his videos, is stepping down.
The name.
Yeah, definitely heard the name. You've probably seen a screwdriver somewhere.
Right.
Little inside joke. He is stepping down as CEO of he's got multiple businesses, and I won't list them all. But Nothing's really going to change as far as where you see him on the screen. In fact, you probably see him a lot more. He's just, as he puts it, just worn out. He can't do another 10 years of being that guy running everything. So I didn't get the exact spelling of this guy's name from Steve when he did the report on.
I had it, and it's a little messed up. The first name, I can't remember how to spell it. I don't have it pulled up.
I know it sounds like Taron Ton.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I think it's an A as opposed to an I.
Okay, but that's who's replacing him, and he'll just handle the day-to-day business of the company, and that'll free
Tong.
Tong. Okay, see, I thought it might have been Tong, but sometimes he was dropping that G, and it's a soft G anyway. But
it is.
I mean, he really was just dropping it hard to where it said like Tong. Of
course, and it's Terren.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Steve speaks Chinese anyway, so he will really get the name down perfect. Yeah, pronunciation, enunciation, or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so you'll probably see more Linus, not to fear, and hopefully, honestly, I have, and Steve even mentioned like he has no intention of taking Gamers Nexus to that kind of level, and just what you and I do. This very little thing we do, which requires little editing compared to most, is enough to keep me busy.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine trying to do what these guys, do without help. It's hard.
I've been there, and I agree with you. Like I stood there and scratched my head on numerous occasions of like, how are these people like? It's different for them now because they've all made names for themselves. They have minions, crews,
the minions.
But how did they, go from these dead end jobs usually, right, to found these empires of media now?
Yeah,
and it's amazing.
There's pioneers.
I know what it is.
They got in early.
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
There's also like brand. And all the things to do with business and analytics and whatnot. But really and truthfully, what it is they have the ability to just put all the bullshit in their life over here and bring whatever they're trying to work on here.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
And if they figure out what the kids dig at the time too, and if they so if they can hook the kids at that time, that's one thing. You might get a huge bump off that, right? You hook those kids at the time, and then you troll with them for a while, and you hold them for 4, 5, 10 years. Boom! I mean, you're pretty much made if you can hold kids for 10 years. I mean, that's a long time. So, I guess it's right place, right time, right idea. What you got? What do people? Do millions of people want to see what I do, or do hundreds of people want to see what I do? That's what That's what you got to ask yourself. That's It's all about what you got, because I've seen. I mean, obviously, channels started out looking as worse than ours.
Oh yeah.
I think in a lot of ways ours started out better than many did back, 12, 13, 14 years ago when this was new.
Well, when you look at the old heads on Twitch, all their shit looks polished now, but their first episodes, not so much.
Right. Yeah.
Bad audio, bad equipment, just all kind of stuff.
Yes, sir. Well, I guess that's the end of the news. Hoorah!
I think it is.
And I don't even think it took nearly as long as I thought it would. We had a lot of news today, for sure.
We did. Yeah. We kind of pounded. I kind of prodded you a little bit. We pounded it out.
That's cool. That's cool. And then we came back to the Doctor Who and all, so a little roundabout. So yeah, we talked about.
There was one other thing, right?
Yeah, there was. And so we talked about at the beginning of the show that you're running a D&D campaign. And it got me thinking about how it's been so long, because you've asked me to participate in this, and it highly interests me. I do want to, and we've talked, I just don't have the time for it. But it also it intrigued me, because I thought, well, in this day and age, first of all, last time I did it, we all would have to sit around at a table with pencils and paper and dice, a shit ton of dice everywhere.
DMG, your PHB, the Monster Manual, notes, dice.
And you might, and if you're lucky, I guess too, you might even have some miniatures and maybe even a little playland set up or a little game board set up. Playland, so I make it like Candyland or some shit. That would be kind of cool, actually. D&D pieces on a Candyland board, man. Oh, dude, did I just invent something?
It's actually pretty close to the HeroClix stuff.
Instead of candies, each thing would be like a something that, if you landed on it, this would happen, or you choose a card. Oh, yeah. Anyway, that's not what we're doing.
No tangent.
Yeah. It got me thinking. I'm like, well, nowadays, like what we're doing here, we're not in the same room to do this. And people, especially since the pandemic came around, started doing everything through video. If anything has furthered the video phone for people, which has been around for so damn long, and most people don't embrace it. Yeah. The pandemic certainly changed that for sure. And then changed everything else, like whether people go to work or not, or doing it from home. And so it's interesting that, now instead of getting around a table, you can meet camera to camera. And now I guess you also have online tools that can help you interact with all your people. So what I'd asked you about it, and you can tell me more about this and all the different things you use. But so apparently there's Wizards of the Coast, who owns the D&D brand, has a website called D&D Beyond. And it basically gives you all the tools. There is a free option, then there's a subscription option. Yeah, the free doesn't give you all the tools. It gives you some good tools to get started for free, basic stuff, and then there's a paywall for getting some better stuff. And I think they're like the higher end one, you can share your books. I guess these are online books, online manuals that you can get.
So here's the way it works.
There we go.
Unfortunately, there is no way for the old heads like you and me that have the hard copies.
Yeah.
Our shit. There's no way to get credit for that on D&D Beyond. So if you sign up for the free, they have 2 tiers of subscription. One I think is like $2 or $3, and the other $5 or $6.
I think it was $4.10 and $2 something. Wasn't very expensive. I was surprised.
And with all of those, you get no materials outside of like basic rules, their intro dungeon, and just some very very basic stuff. You don't even get access to all of the stuff that's in the PHB. So the pricing is restrictive, and that's problematic for a lot of people. There are, of course, tons of nerds that can afford to spend. I think it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars for all the source materials.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a quick question. So, let's say you buy a player's manual. Is it significantly cheaper than the handheld, the hardback version?
They are the same price.
Yeah. See, that's pretty stiff.
But I will say that the prices on those have come down. There are $19.95 and $29.95, which, compared to original pricing, doesn't sound that great, but considering the economy now.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think wasn't the player's handbook like $30, like $29.95, and like the DM's guy was like $39 or $34.95 or something like that.
I can actually answer that.
All right, cool. So I did go on the site, and I just checked it out while you're looking for that stuff, and watched a couple videos, and it looks like you can create. So it has a creation area where you can do up a character. It looked like that was available on the free version, so you could do like at least one character, I suppose.
4, I think, is the limit.
Okay.
For the free.
And I'm trying to think what other tools they have. Okay, so there's the old D&D. Well, not the old one. Which version is that?
This is the 5e.
Oh wow, so that's quite new. Okay.
Yeah.
5e.
Well, I mean, not quite new. It's when 5e first came out.
Are they at 6 now? Version 6?
No, we're still in 5.
Still in 5? Okay.
Yeah. And this book, when it came out, was $50, man.
Holy shit. Wow.
So overall, the products have decreased in price.
Yeah, because that manual back in the day couldn't have been more than probably $40 at most. Probably about $29.95 if I had to guess.
I was gonna say closer to like 20 or 30. Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
We're talking like second ed. Prices went up in third ed. There was more material.
Well, that's when WotC bought them too. When third edition came out, because there was a long time between second and third edition. Like
right.
WotC finally bought them out in the late '90s or early 2000s. I think it was early 2000s actually.
I think it was early aughts.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe explain a little bit about what you can do on there. So I said you can create a character. That was on the free tier. I didn't see where you could do much. Maybe explain. Okay, so you have the D&D Beyond. How do you use that? Explain how you're going to run your game nowadays. Well, basically, what we want to know is like a modern take, how to play D&D the modern way, as opposed to the way you and I played it back in the day.
Gotcha. Personally, what I'm trying to do is a little bit of a hybrid. I'm not a huge fan of Roll20.net, which is a virtual tabletop, D&D Beyond. Discord is my powerhouse for running this campaign because it's where we're going to bring everybody to get together.
Yeah.
D&D Beyond does have a bot called Avray, which rolls dice and it integrates into the D&D Beyond. So if you have a character there with abilities, you can use a specific command line in Discord to perform an action.
Okay.
That's really cool, but the pricing on D&D Beyond is just so restrictive. I have a hard time justifying the, $5 a month fee just so I can share source material.
Right. And that source material you have to purchase too, right? Like you said, it's not the whole player's guide. So if you want to share the whole player's guide with all these people, which you can do at the highest tier, you have to go buy the book first, the virtual book, not the hardback book.
Yeah, the virtual. So if you're like me and you got the hardback, you have to pay for it again to share it.
Yeah. Other than that, you got to be the DM. That's which we've done. Over the years, the DM has all the books, and he's just telling you have to take the word that he's not a cheating DM, and he's being on the up and up with you about all the stats and shit.
Yeah, and so I have like a bunch of material that I can't necessarily implement directly into Discord or through a D&D. I probably could through a virtual tabletop, but even that would be kind of intensive.
Yeah.
So my plan is to, I do have one friend that's in this campaign. He's got a lot of the source material. He doesn't have the world that we're playing in, but I'm going to work around that. So we have access to some materials, and we will be using that and Discord and Avray as well as my own. Like I said, this place will be a nightmare by the end of the night, because I will be setting up like a DM screen. I'll be rolling dice. I'll have another screen over here. I'll bring books out.
Well, I was going to ask you that too. Are you planning on? Okay, because I guess it's a two-part question.
Yeah.
Would you have a camera on a tabletop with a miniature set up to where you could show guys like a scenario, or do you have a virtual tabletop where you could set up a scenario for people to see, like virtual miniatures in a grid, or a hexagonal grid or something like that? Do you have those options? Are you using either of those options? Are they available?
I'm not using either one currently. The most common one is the virtual tabletop, something like Roll20 that I mentioned.
Okay.
And that gives you just like your base hex screen. You can put like an image behind it, put your characters on there, run an encounter, all that.
That sounds nice.
That being said, we've mentioned that I have two cameras.
Yeah.
I just recently picked up this table that I will be planning to use.
Okay.
And that's going to be what I'm going to use to set up various encounters and stuff. If I do want like a battle map.
Yeah.
But I've always been more of a fan of like the old school, making it harder than it has to be sometimes.
Well, I can see how the virtual tabletop would be very nice. So you said that, what was the name of that site? D20 something?
Roll20.net.
Roll20.
There's also Fantasy Grounds, which is kind of an alternative.
Yeah. So what kind of pricing would like Roll20 have to use their virtual
I haven't
tabletop?
checked in a long time. I think the last time I checked, it was still fairly expensive. And there was some issues with the owner I'm not going to get into. The guy running Roll20, or was
Okay.
one of them, Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds. But I think their prices all came down, is what it
Okay.
boils down to. I don't know how cheap they are at this point, but for me, the fact that I have two cameras makes it a lot easier. I can put one on me, I can talk to my players, I can play a role if I need to or whatever. And then with my other cam, when it's time to battle, I'll have a battle map on that table over there and just click on the cam, place the players, place the enemies. Combat ensues.
Yeah, that's the thought I had, like having the other camera and just having you a little real-time board that you could show them. Okay, you're here, you're here, you're here. Here's your enemy.
Right, yeah.
You know, everything. You can show them exactly what you want to do.
Now, this first one we're going to be running, though, is going to be pretty much theater of the mind.
Right, just like old
it's
school.
Short timetable. Yeah.
Like we would sit
And that's what I wanted to talk about, is like how you and I used to play. You know, you would lug a backpack of books if you had the books,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
You'd have a little folder with some character sheets, maybe some spell sheets, pen. If you were ballsy, usually pen was reserved for the ones that weren't going to be there for the whole campaign or just didn't care about it or something.
Yeah.
You bring a pencil with an eraser because you need that eraser.
Yeah.
But also, I've been thinking a lot like, man, I would really love to run something with second ed rules, because I miss that. I miss the math of it. I miss, calculating 2-hit AC 0 and AC being backwards.
Oh, yeah. I used to have a real. I never played maybe one game of version 3.5 maybe.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, but like I really could not wrap my head around second figuring out THACO and all that. I just could not. I just wasn't my bag, man. I have other guys just figure it out for me and then kind of explain it to me a little bit, and I could basically understand it. And I probably would understand it well nowadays, but I had just such a hard time reading anything back then that technical because of my ADHD. It was just a nightmare.
True for all of us, in some extent, I think, because we were all younger and latchkey kids.
Oh yeah, but most of my D&D was theater of the mind. Like we didn't have the miniatures, we didn't have any. It wasn't until we met our friend Jay that I didn't even see my first kind of, where you got that 3D set there for a while, that foam set that we had on the table.
Yeah.
It was for, I think we got it for Mech Warrior mainly, but you could use it for anything. I mean, you could use it for whatever you want. And it was kind of neat to think about that, because I thought at that time, I was like, okay, now this is the future, right? So,
right, yeah.
And now here we are talking about what now is the future, getting together on the Zoom or Discord or whatever. Discord has changed the game for so many things. I mean, it's how we...
so many do.
That's how we do what we do. We can do it through things like Zoom, but we don't pay anything to use Discord. And right. I don't know, I guess we could do it through Skype or something like that, but there's not too many options where you can just jump on, you got a decent video signal. I mean, hell, they even got the blurry background. I don't have to do some magical bullshit for that. It's already there. Boom. They were really thinking. Of course, it didn't all come out like that originally, but I've been with Discord for quite a while. Back when I first got into mobile gaming, because it started to become apparent you needed a place to talk to people, because some of these games just did not know how to do a good chat system or mail system or anything like that. But yeah, Discord and the bots, the bot integration is really cool.
It's huge.
Yeah, there's so many things you can get it to do to help you out, and administering your server.
Right, and I mean, it's got all kind of server settings in the Abre bot. It ties directly to D&D Beyond, so you can set up your campaign characters. They've got a encounter creator that's in beta. Needs a lot of work, but you can kind of slap something together if you wanted to.
Here's what I think I would do, and I think probably your friends would do this, because if you got just a decent group, it would only take a group of 4 people, really 5 people, maybe max, to do this. Say, look, guys, and it depends. Like, say you're playing like a bunch, you're saying you're running on Saturday, so in a month you probably can get at least 4 games in. 50 cents a game per person, you know, per head, 4 times a month would more than cover that monthly fee. Send it through Venmo or some, you know, crap like that to you. There's a way to cover your fee right there. I mean, that's just pocket change for all y'all to have a little bit of fun, and you help each other out because it gives you all access to good materials.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, you know, you only pay like a little bit a month to get access to D&D Beyond, but to get access to
you gotta get.
You pay that.
But he who has the virtual vault already is king.
Right, yeah. And I think our boy Chavez actually purchased almost everything that was on there on some kind of weird spending spree.
You know what?
So
It doesn't surprise me because a guy who does nothing but drive a truck with his mother all the time probably has huge discretionary income. And he probably just like, fuck it, I'll have it all.
Yeah, I got it.
And he's bought the stuff over the years too. I mean, like that when I mentioned that the last time I played was maybe 3.5, it was with him. So he would have been the guy that got me into it. But I've never had a really long, great game on anything past 2.5. I've played just a little bit of 3.
Yeah, 3. I don't know. For me, 3 got lost in all its options. You know, it was an idea that you were going to be able to build the character that you wanted, but really and truthfully, 5 just felt a lot more powerful than anything that's come out since 2, in my opinion. And I don't even like it that much. It's just it makes it a lot more accessible to, you know, newcomers to the game. But it's also some of the tools that you use that weren't around before, like advantage and disadvantage. Yeah. They really changed the way that the game plays. I don't know if you've had this experience. A lot of times when we would play, we wouldn't be playing level 1 characters. We'd be playing like 3, 6, 10, whatever, just something for whatever the module we were playing was. Now, while people will go in and maybe do like a campaign from 1, it's a lot more common to go from 3. This campaign that I'm running is starting at 5. So the way that you play has changed a lot, not just in the tools that you use, but the manner in which you play.
Yeah.
And sometimes I miss that, you know. Sometimes I miss, you know, going over to my buddy's house with a Gestalt character that we made. We had a Gestalt run one time at wasn't that CDO or it may have been somewhere else.
I don't even remember. I do remember. You know, I remember going to. I guess it was probably version 3 rules. Joe.
We were doing 3 at Joe's. Yeah.
So that would have been the last time I had ever played, was going over to his house. And you know, that might have been because I think I asked him. That might have been when I decided that I just prefer to play NPCs. Because you saw I was at that first time, but I wasn't able to make it back again, and that's why I decided. And to this day, I still hold to it. Just let me play one of your NPCs. If you got a decent NPC, just let me play that. You know, you tell me what you want me to do for you as a DM, and otherwise, I'll leave it up to me to do the rest. And it's better for the DM because I'm not fucking up his game. You know, sliding in and out. You know, here I am this one day, and then the next day I'm never seen again. So you may have had plans for me that you thought in your head, you know, or whatever. So yeah, it's just. Well,
that's the thing about the way that we play now is it's a lot easier. You know, if you don't have to leave home, for example, right? You don't have to clear out any of your schedule.
That is very true.
You just log in, connect, say hey, and you guys can jump in if you've got the right tools, and if you don't, you can dance around it, which is what I'm planning to do.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's quite a difference in the way things have changed over the years, and I imagine it'll in the virtual world it's going to be even way cooler. It's funny because virtual has tried to be a thing, and it's kind of fallen back to a novelty. It will have its day, I'm sure, but it's just not there yet. But I can see that our next discussion, if we're still doing this, that it'll be like, have you seen this latest VR? Or join me in my my VR campaign.
My new VR campaign.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
And that's going to be incredible because we already know what graphics are looking like now in a decent VR system with the type of graphics engines we have now. I can see Unreal playing a part in that.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, it's just I can imagine my virtual Candyland. I think I've got some there, man. If I had the discipline and the time, I could come up with some kind of weird Candyland for
you.
D&D.
Do have it. Just put some time into that shit.
Make it so.
Write that shit down.
Captain. Well, anything else you want to talk about? Since that pretty much wraps up our D&D talk.
Not really. We didn't get much of a chance to see what's going on with you, right? We talked a little bit, but how are you?
I'm excellent. Well, I mean, I told you about my dentist appointment. I'm trying to think. I just steadily, my Twitter numbers are steadily going up. I'm having a lot of fun with that, trying to build a brand there. It's funny for every negative comment I get. Like I had one today. I said, it's a joke, man. It's a joke. He goes, well, usually jokes are funny, and that may be like, oh, most people be like, oh, it's killing me, And I'm thinking, for that one guy that said that joke wasn't funny, I had like 20 others that laughed their ass off. So it's all perspective, and I just don't let it bother me. I have a lot of fun with it. I usually like most of my hate stuff like that, and it shuts them down pretty quick, man, because they just want to start getting into an argument. But
generally it doesn't work that way anymore, right? It's people don't get battered down about this shit because they either have somebody else handling, filtering their messages for them and whatnot, like content filtering, or they do like you and just like, okay, there's one of you, here's these 80 others.
Yeah.
It's really trolling is kind of getting back to its roots as an art form, I think.
Yeah.
Because it really has to trigger you. It really has to push that right button.
Yeah.
To make you blow up and like.
Which kind of happened in a way the other day because the new thing for the Zoomers is, I guess if they want to me, I call it the, your mom. Did your mom buy your clothes at the Salvation Army type thing? It's so juvenile. They're like, attack the blue check mark. Oh, I can't believe you pay $8 a month to a billionaire. And it's such a stupid asinine thing to say to somebody, but I hear it all the damn time. And I guess this one guy has the other day, he just finally caught me on a day when I was ready to make an example of somebody for the hundreds before him who have said that, and I let him have it, man. I'm like, who the hell are you to tell somebody how to spend their money when you probably never worked a day in your life, don't have any money, and that's why so you're going to disparage people who do have money and choose, because their whole thing too is they think that I pay for what they get for free. They don't realize that there's a ton of extras that you get when you pay.
I want to back up there. Why is that always the response? When you put money into an endeavor like this, I hear it a lot.
I don't know.
People will remark to people that commenting on them and say like, well, maybe you don't have the money. These are strangers. These are trolls. They're trying to push your buttons.
Yeah,
they could be freaking loaded, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or a bot.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I was wondering is why that immediate response is like defensive almost.
I don't know why they do it. Okay. So in the case of the blue check, apparently Twitter was a very leftist playground, and when Elon bought it, they were very upset, especially after the fact that they found out that he was taking away the blue check marks and was going to charge money for them. There was a big outcry about that. So I guess we're finding more often than not, the only people who do make this comment are from that side of the aisle. So I guess it's just something in that regard for them to attack. As far as what it means in other instances for why they attack, people buying stuff, I don't know. I guess it's a case-by-case basis.
I was actually asking why the defense was whenever somebody trolls you like that is you said something like you probably never worked a day in your life or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Comments like that. Why is that our automatic defense mechanism when we get this negative response online?
Oh, well, for me, the thought process, I can tell you my thought process on that was that I accused him of being a Zoomer, right? I don't know if he's a Zoomer or not. It seems to be a very Zoomer thing to say, but accuse him of that, and on top of that, you just go with the stereotype. You know how I love stereotypes, so I go with the stereotype, assuming he's a Zoomer. Well, I'm telling you also how we're crafting a joke right now, kids. So I go basically he's a Zoomer. So from there, I assume he doesn't have a job because of the stereotype. They don't work and they have no money. So I just throw stereotypes at him just to be annoying. That's all it is, and then because that's all they're doing to you. They're needling you. They're being annoying. So.
Yeah, but you might as well be yelling at the sky when you do stuff like that.
That's why I don't do it. That's why I don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like most of the stuff. I just said this is one of those days where I just decided that, you know what, you need to understand why I pay for, I pay for the blue check mark kids to have the edit button. You don't get it for free. And I love having that because sometimes you fuck up and you want to change something. And I fuck up a lot. So it's worth it to me. And that's just one of the few features, and there's more coming,
Right.
You get priority too, as far as being seen, apparently. So, and if you're building a business, why would that not be attractive to you? To get followers, you need to be seen. So it's just things like that, it's you just want to educate people sometimes. My whole thing, if I had the energy, would be to educate these fools that make statements like that, that don't think before they speak. They could think the right thought, but they don't. They just speak first and think later.
If you want to be an educator, I would invite you to talk to any of the millions and millions of teachers that have come and gone throughout the eras.
Oh, it's on those calls.
Yeah.
I already know. That's why I don't waste my time with it. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with me lately. I've been continuing to I've been playing the TIE Fighter Total Conversion. Couldn't get that out if I was trying to. TIE Fighter Total Conversion. I was enjoying that a lot. I realized there's another mod that is built off of called the X-Wing Alliance Update mod. And I realized that I was selling myself short. I had just done one of the patches, the main patch, and didn't update to the latest 2. So there was significant upgrades that I was missing out on. So I put that on the laptop because I was trying not to get too modded on one engine, So I've got the TIE Fighter Total Conversion on this computer and the X-Wing Alliance stuff on the laptop just to keep it simple. Let's talk about that new game that Epic just came out with. It's not new. It's new to us for free.
They just made free.
Yeah, the new old game. Yeah, Death Stranding with an R. Is okay. So
Norman Reedus.
I was trying to tell my wife. Is he from Sons of Anarchy? Is that where I know him from?
I don't remember him in Sons.
He was on something.
Made a cameo or something.
Is it
most people know him from Walking Dead.
That's what I was getting. Walking Dead. That's what it was.
He got really popular with Blade 2.
Yes, Blade 2. I knew him from somewhere.
And
that's what it was, though. Blade 2. Although he was a real prick in that, and he deserved to die.
There's a cult classic as well, and I can't believe I'm having a problem remembering it now. But it's basically about these two brothers in South Boston that go up against like.
You talking about Boondock Saints?
Boondock, thank you. Yes, that.
He's in that.
Yeah, he was one of the brothers.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
No shit. I did not know that.
No shit.
Oh, we love those movies, dude. Both of them. Yeah, they're great. Well, damn. Okay. I knew he looked damn. Oh, okay. I'm seeing it now. Yeah, I'm seeing it now.
It was him and Sean Patrick.
Right. I'm seeing it now. Damn, I did not put. Okay, cool. Well, my wife's gonna love that. But anyway, so this game, I mean, when I saw it, I like watched the videos when they put this free stuff up to decide whether or not. A lot of times I'll grab it anyway, unless it's just like a stupid puzzle game or something. And I saw the graphics and what was going on. It was open world. You know, that's a big buzzword for me. And I was like, wow, this looks really, really nice. And then I see Kojima Studios, you know, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay, so, damn, this is going to obviously be pretty epic. And so I did get it on the laptop last night. Finally got it set up. At first, it was crashing on me big time, but then I reset it up on the SSD drive, and it seemed to work fine. But I started playing the game. I think you told me you played a little bit of it. And, bro, let me tell you what. That Kojima dude is full of himself. I mean, damn, you see his name like 3 times. First of all, you start out, and it's very cinematic. You play for like a second, you get somewhere, and then it starts being cinematic again, and I mean hugely cinematic. And then you kind of play kind of half-ass again. You're on the back of this truck, and then you get thrown off the truck, and I think maybe you play again. I don't know if you do or not. I don't know. I don't think you do. But so it finally plays out that prologue at the beginning, and dude, it was a fucking hour. And then like I said, I saw his name 3 times, and then right at the end of that hour is like the Death Stranding logo, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I've been playing an hour, and I'm just now getting to this point. But well, wow, I mean, what a great looking game, man!
It is. It looks awesome, but you should know that the next 2 hours are probably going to be slow as well.
Wow.
Because that's what he likes. He loves that slow burn. It really does, in my opinion, help immerse you into that world.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I was in there. I was up to 1 this morning, screwing around with that thing, man. And I'm really intrigued because, like, I'm intrigued with just what the setup is right now. I don't know what's going on, and it's crazy. So I can't wait to
expect more of what you've done. It's a walking simulator.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, dude, it just seemed like another version of what I see with all these other survival games. It's a guy with a backpack, only he's got, gear instead of, a flannel on. He's got futuristic looking gear. Flannel and a backpack and a toboggan and an axe. He's got other things. And he's got these...
Poncho.
Yeah, he's got all these weird, this baby that sees... It's crazy, y'all. But go look. It's still going to be on. It should be still on Epic. I think till Friday or Thursday.
I think it is. Yeah.
So go get it.
Quick.
It is. And they give like a free Cyberpunk glasses and something or other. I think it's like an exosuit or something.
I think they had plugins for that, and also the trike, and probably some other stuff.
Maybe, yeah. So, yeah, I had installed some DLC, so you get that for free, too. So, it's worth it, let me tell you. If you don't intend to play it now, just get it and play it later. I mean, I was looking, I was going back, because I've just been ferreting. I haven't realized since Jay turned us on to getting Squadrons that day, how I've stayed on top of the free stuff, especially at Christmas. They were giving shit away like crazy. I was looking at my library, and I was like, damn, I got some good shit on here that I can play.
I would have never caught this had you not alerted me to it, because I go through and check like Good Old Games, Epic, and a couple of other sites every now and again, like at the first of the month or something.
Right.
But a lot of these titles will drop here, like towards the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And just be there for days and then gone forever.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you for saving my skin on this.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. I mean, I was totally lucked up, and I was like, man, this game is quadruple A. It's beautiful. I mean, it is really worth it. When they spend the type of money, first of all, for that dude to design it, and then you've got somebody else was in it too. There was a couple names in it, but there was a name, and I was like, what the hell's he doing in there? Oh, who was it? Oh man, I can't believe I can't think who it was. So I saw his name, and I was like, oh, it was just like a special appearance by so and so. Cannot think who it was, but yeah, it looks great. got to check it out. The story, well, it gets you from the beginning. You're like, I don't know what's going on. This is wild.
I can say I've been over Norman Reedus's ass for a moment, for more than a moment. They like to show his ass off in the game, right?
Yeah, that first prologue, he's naked with the, well, that sounded weird. I was gonna say naked with a baby, but he was
Right.
naked with the baby, but it wasn't like that.
Yeah. Get your mind out the gutter.
That's right. Get your mind out of the gutter. This baby can see the other world or something like that. It's the Doom or something. Anyway, I ain't far enough in it to give you all details. Just go get the game because you're going to follow through with it and find out the same kind of stuff I am. I've got like 5 games going on right now. I'm in an ADHD nightmare. But anyway.
I got to get back to those games I started when we started this podcast.
Oh, yeah, man. Like, I still got to get back on some Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I've got a long way to go. Well, halfway to go. Not even quite halfway yet. But anywho,
hey, enjoy the slow burn. They'll get more stuff out for it.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do. I mean, they're committed to it. I just hope they put it out some DLC before they put out a whole new version. It would be nice to have that little bridge first. But if there's nothing more, sir, I guess we will call this a show. And thank everybody for being with us. And please hit that subscribe and like button. Still trying to get the love.
Much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Lemonade. As always, people, be excellent to each other. We'll see you on the flip side. Peace out.